I'm going to unofficially call the meeting to order, because we have half a board here, and a lot of other people. You guys outnumber us, so we're a little scared tonight. So I'm gonna unofficially call to order, and I'm gonna skip down to communications report. So Anita brought us a copy, but I went online and printed it because all the Christmas lights look really pretty. And Anita, I think, did a wonderful, first off, it talks about this award-winning television series. You know, I heard the BBC may be picking us up.
It's true.
And it says that our whatchamacallit, what is he called?
Videographer.
No, he's got a special name.
Field producer.
Field producer. Our field producer, you know, he didn't get an award yet, but it's our award is your award, field producer.
Right.
And
You were quoted in there too.
yeah. And then I thought the River Valley News was really good, and I thought that this and she did the meetings and, you know, what to do, when and where, and I thought it was a really good summary that we can actually use for the board. So I just want to compliment you, Anita. Thank you. You did really good with that. And the problem always is she's got to have it in for the month before. You got to have, like, for December stuff had to be in by the middle of November. So, we'll call it to order now at whatever time it is. 7:05. So, Anita, why don't you go ahead, and if there's anything you have other in
Sure.
communications.
Well, thank you. It's input from you guys that makes me able to do my reports complete and thoroughly. So thank you for that, and Bill too, and everybody. There was a minor glitch in the Buckettville News. If you look at the table of contents there, it says 1 through 5, and 5 somehow or other got amputated. So it gives me an excuse to send in number 5 again. And number 5 was how to run for a seat on the board, and it explained a little bit more about you had to get signatures and all of that. So I'll be sure that in the January issue, the number 5 gets printed as it got cut off in there. So,
I didn't notice that.
yes, if you look on that page where it says 1 through 5 at the top of the page,
Right.
the little table of contents,
But it says continued and it doesn't continue.
it doesn't continue. So somehow or other must have run out of space, or they had.
It's a test to see how close people actually read it.
I know. So that was what got amputated, was the part about how to run for office, elected seats. So once again, my deadline is December 10th. And I need direction from the board as to what you want me to use my 500 words for that you feel is the most effective. I know Dwight and Rick have always felt that it's the voting thing. I'm certainly happy to repeat that again. I don't think they'll print that whole timeline again. I think we got a lucky
Some of it
shot.
will be gone too, though. Some of it will be by.
Yeah, a couple of top lines will be
So what I'm
over.
hoping for is to have a rough warning for you that, you know, kind of what's going to happen at the Wardsboro School District meeting, the Dover School District meeting, and the River Valley's annual meeting. And I should
You mean an
reverse
agenda
order.
or a warning?
Not an agenda. I don't think we'll have the warning done. I
Okay,
think we'll have that for you for the January one.
okay,
For the February one.
right.
So we can discuss that in January, because we'll
Correct.
finalize that. But I think if we can just start talking, and Dwight and I were just talking, I think, you know, like in Wardsboro, they have to have a school district meeting, even though they're not gonna vote on a budget.
Correct.
But they'll have to vote their Wardsboro board member to continue till June 30th. And there may be some other business that they have to do, we don't know. So there would be a reason to meet on the Monday that they normally meet before town meeting. And they can also present the budget that's gonna be, you know, talk about the budget, if there's any questions, that's gonna be voted on the next day.
Right, and what, will your board take on that little PR task itself? or
Yeah,
so?
we meet tomorrow night, so.
All right,
And then, you know, in Dover, we'll meet town meeting day, and we'll have to, you know, we'll be electing somebody by ballot.
right,
And then we also will have, you know, anything that people may wanna discuss.
right. So again, it should be, my little 500 words this time should be about the voting and
Yeah, and I think, and we hopefully.
the
will have-
informational meetings.
Right, and see what, you know, we wanna talk about, you know, the budget tonight some more, and maybe we can start talking about the budget a little bit.
Okay, and is there a particular call to action you want to include?
I don't know, I mean,
Just
I
come to
think,
the
yeah.
meetings or what?
Well, I think we'll see what happens tonight.
All right, and then the website is always up to date. There's been nothing on there. If you have new stuff you want me to post on there, you can send that along and I'll stick that on there. And the wcsu.media@gmail at wyndhamcentral.org. There's been no incoming messages and questions from people on there. I have a feeling if there's a dialogue going on in the public, it's going on Facebook or somewhere else that none of us is watching, or maybe some of us are watching. So I don't have anything to report on that particular aspect of what the public is talking about. I haven't heard any feedback in person for a while. I was hearing, rumory kinds of things, but not any longer. So I think we've cleared all that stuff up. But again, if any of you on the board feel that there's something I need to hammer home, either on the front page of the blog site or on this little blurb they give me in the Bucketville, let me know.
Okay. Sounds good.
All right.
Any questions for Anita from the board?
So I'd like to invite you all to the Christmas play. It's December 16th, and it's in the Bucketville News, and it'll be fun.
That's why you got it open.
That's why I got it open. This is my last.
Self-promotion.
Really, this is my last meeting that interferes with what you all are doing.
Narrated by Anita Raphael. Some ladies are
All
narrating.
right, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
We'll see you in 2 weeks. Okay, so I'm gonna get back on the agenda. So additions, deletions to the agenda besides moving Anita up so she can go play narrator. Anybody else have any additions or deletions to the agenda? Okay, members of the public? Kind of just one of you again.
Nothing.
Nothing?
Sorry.
We don't put members of the staff, but Matt or press have any questions?
No, I'm good so far.
How about our field producer? He's all good. Bill?
I've given you a superintendent's report. There's a lot in there, but I would just say the highlight is that we're producing an enormous amount of budgets.
No.
And,
Budget season.
the work that Lori and her team are doing is really quite impressive.
Cool.
Less individual budgets, but,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, less, yeah, but the
And
working in a new financial
Yeah.
management
Yeah.
system with a new chart of accounts and bringing groups together is very,
And I think we commented about that last time, but we feel really fortunate as a group that Anita, that Lori's, this is all gonna be, some schools are doing budgets for new districts in their old style. Next year, they're gonna go to some new whole system, and we're gonna be a whole leg up on them, because we're gonna have something next year, we'll be able to compare this year to last year, and I know that it was a lot of extra work for Lori and her group, but it's gonna really move us forward. And we're gonna get all the glitches worked out before other schools have even tried to, start working on it, so it is a real plus, and thank you, Lori, and thank your people. Okay, so then let's move over to review and approve the minutes of the November 19th, 2018 meeting. If I could get a motion.
so moved.
Okay, Rick moves, is there a second?
Second.
Kerry seconds it, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Carried. We did communications, old business. Bill, Matt, and Tammy. I don't know if there's any updates or, I think last time Matt just kind of briefly said that, some surveys had gone out and stuff, so.
Sure.
And I know when, this really isn't on the agenda till kind of back into January and February before the, annual meeting and stuff, but is there anything that you want to let us know? How surveys going?
Yeah, Matt and Tammy have been helpful on next Tuesday in Wardsboro at 6 o'clock and next Wednesday at 6 o'clock in Dover. I'll be sharing the results of the survey to get feedback from parents and community members, just to make sure that I'm getting the perspective of what do the results mean, so that I can present something to the board in January, a recommendation of kind of what the results are. We've gotten 69 results, which is actually quite good. And it's about a 65-35 split. 65% of the respondents are coming from Wardsboro and 35% from Dover, which makes complete sense to me since we're talking about the Wardsboro focus. And half of the people have provided comments for the board, so it's actually really powerful. So it'll be nice for me to kind of put a little package together for the board after you guys are finished with the budget and start thinking about Wardsboro focus either later in January or earlier in February.
Okay. You guys want any comments, Matt or Danny?
Nothing to add.
Okay.
So
But that's,
it-
oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, so what, you're doing it at schools the next Tuesday and Wednesday, you said?
Yes.
Is there a time, place for everyone?
6
to
o'clock right here,
Okay,
or 6 o'clock in the Dover. Tuesday is here,
yeah,
Wednesday is in Dover.
okay.
And that's gone out to the parents? And that survey isn't bad. When you say like 35% of them, but, I mean, what percentage of like, I mean, did you have 100 survey results or?
69.
Oh, 69, okay, I'm sorry. You did say that.
That's okay.
Okay, update, anything else? Any questions for Nope. Carrie, we're right to cough because you're next.
Sorry, so, Transportation Committee, so we had our first meeting on the eve of that giant snowstorm, and we had everyone show up, which was pretty incredible. We met for a little over an hour, and we have agreed to have 2 more meetings. We're gonna be meeting next Monday, at 5 o'clock here, 5 o'clock here in Wardsboro, and then we're going to try to squeeze in 1 more meeting on the 17th in Dover, but that's really all that we'll be able to, to do before the end of the year. I'm putting together numbers. I have the budget from Wardsboro for transportation from this current fiscal year and for year 20, and then I have the information from Dover because the board really wanted to look at numbers. What's the current finances for transportation broken down to elementary transportation and secondary, so that we can compare when we're trying to figure out some different models. The committee wanted to know actual numbers, because we have that charge from our board of looking at either 10% above the, funding at 110%, what that would look like, and then a 25% cut of the current budget, both from the current budget. So they want to know what the current budget is to be able to figure that out. So I think on Monday, I will get out before Monday those numbers for Dover and Wardsboro, and then I have mileage now. I just need Wardsboro's mileage to just confirm, but we're gonna get mileage to the West River Transportation Company, so they can give us a quote about what it would cost for Wardsboro and Dover to do elementary transportation, and then also secondary for both schools, because I think that's where we wanted to start from. And then I think the focus will be on Monday of looking at elementary school transportation. That seems to be more of a consensus of what our expectations are. And the committee realizes it's not door-to-door service that the board is asking that we propose a budget for numbers or, and then I think that there is more ideas for secondary, so. But I think that we should be able to have, maybe not every detail by the end of the year, but I think we could have a good framework of recommendations for both in elementary and for secondary, so.
Any questions from the board for Carrie?
That's great.
Out in the public? Yes.
I would just say as you're doing the financial stuff, that anything over $10,000, we'd have to do a RFP for. So
Yes.
I would
You're
assume.
you're not getting numbers for bids.
We're
You're just
not.
getting numbers.
You're just getting.
We just
right,
want to get an
right.
idea,
Right.
because the board gave us that direction of, okay, at 110%
Sure.
cost and a 25% cut, so we want to know, all right, well, what's the
What
numbers
does
that
that
we're
do?
working with?
Absolutely.
And I think the biggest consideration is, does it make sense for the West River Transportation Committee or company to take over transportation for both schools? And use the Dover buses right now is kind of one bus parked in Dover, one bus parked at the Wardsboro campus or school, to use that as kind of secondary. So I think we wanted to get an estimate about what that cost would be for the bus company. And I didn't want to bother Todd because like the 2 days later was the accident. I thought I'm gonna give him a full week before I ask him to do something. So I feel like he's had a week of.
And if you ever need numbers too, you can call central office and Lori will probably be able to pull
Yeah, I
them.
saw that Matt and Tammy jumped in, so
Yes.
I didn't get back to you, but, as far as miles are concerned, that would be Todd or West River can
Yes.
give you that for Wardsboro.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
he already has those.
Oh, good.
He already
That's
has
right.
those, okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was the appropriate place
That
to
makes
get
sense.
them.
So, and, yeah, and he thought that he could get that to us in a week, and then we'll, like I said, it seems more of a consensus of what expectations were for elementary school. Secondary seemed a lot more ideas, and then also trying to find efficiency between the two. So, yes. But I think the most that we're gonna get is 3 meetings before the end of the year.
Yeah. Well, and also anything I think we've also had this discussion a lot, that anything we do is probably gonna be a 1 year.
We also were
Because
thinking about that.
we're gonna see how it all works
Right.
and, you know, I think it's, because it's kind of all new to everybody. Trying to do a bigger group and hopefully we'll have some, we'll have some good feel after we actually operate for a year or two.
Right. One of the biggest questions was, why do we need to do anything different than what we're doing now? And it was just explained, it's gonna be one budget, and we're trying to figure out efficiencies, if there are efficiencies anywhere. So,
So you missed the last meeting, and we knew that, so I'm not throwing that out. But one of the things, Lori prepared a budget that we reviewed last meeting, and what she did was she just took the current transportation for both schools and just moved it into the budget with a slight increase. Excuse me, and some of it comes through the superintendent's budget because transportation's supposed to move through the SU. And there's a fairly sizable reduction anyways, because it's been several years since they kind of realigned the West River contract and looked at, here's the total West River contract and here's how much is assigned to each school. So Lori actually made a suggestion that everybody's pretty much bought into, that the numbers change a little bit and it substantially saved Wardsboro.
Yeah, and I included those
Yeah.
reductions in
The new numbers.
the new numbers that I had given to Kerry, so.
And that's what you put in our budget.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay? So, I mean, you might have that 25% reduction just in,
Yeah, I don't think it's
that
25%, but it was a reduction
it's
overall from last year.
okay, any other transportation, pretty good, we beat that up pretty well. Anybody want, maybe Todd drove off the road because he didn't wanna deal with your budget.
oh, it felt so bad. Like I said, I didn't wanna bother him at asking requests, so.
That was high school kids or grade school, elementary school kids?
There were 13 students on the bus, 3 were elementary, 10 were middle high school. The kids were fantastic, Todd was fantastic, it was,
One of the things when we testified about Wyndham up before the state board was that, the difference between elementary kids and high school kids is, in an emergency situation, high school kids are easier to corral and understand that don't go play in the road and stuff, and elementary kids are like herding little lambs all over the place with piglets.
they were outstanding in that stressful situation.
And that's not a call you wanna get a superintendent either, or a principal, is it?
No.
Okay, if we beat that up, so last meeting, Lori brought us a budget to review, and I thought I brought it with me, and I didn't. I brought some of the pieces. But Lori's come up since that last meeting. Lori's fine-combed some numbers and adjusted a few things. So let's discuss expenditures if we could. So
Sure.
do you have a new?
Well, I'll just pass out the summary to begin with
Okay.
that I updated, so just
Okay,
this,
just the
this
one
page.
page, yeah.
Poking in my eye, thank you. I think so.
Is that went out to us, right?
The summary?
I think she is a revised one.
This is.
Oh,
the revised.
You just got one.
So
Okay.
as Rich said, there was some refining that was done, and really the overall impact was basically like $8,000 increase. But there was some decreases, some increases, and that was the end result. So not much of a change overall.
So you're proposing an FY '20 overall budget of $5,346,131. The 2019 budgets for Dover and Wardsboro combined was $4,956,856, but that's budgeted, that's not actual numbers.
Correct.
And then, so the budget increase is $389,000. And $389,275. So there's increasing in staff, and that would be salary increases, it's no additional staff. Correct?
Oh. Right, no,
Staffing
it's an
changes?
adjustment of staff, but
But are we,
the only
so-
thing was potentially a half-time in pre-K, I think.
Yeah,
Okay.
That was
the
it.
bit largest one is increasing an adult in pre-K so that we can offer 3-year-old.
halftime,
Yeah.
okay. And then 20,000 in funds for whatever the focus decides to become for professional development at the Wardsboro School. Changes in assessment for special ed, that's a whole nother topic, but it's good to see 125 with the 400 is that, because again, that's something we really can't control. Tuition to the vocational center, tuition increases, and that's just because schools don't have to report out that. That's just an average of what previous year's increases have been, and kind of guessing where new students may be going, and taking the 12th graders who will graduate this year and the 7th graders next year.
Right.
And then payroll services, we saved a little money. Building, we saved a little money. Reduction in audit, because there will be one audit versus two. And reduction in transportation, that's a reorganization that
Right.
Lori mentioned, or I mentioned that Lori brought up, which is 8,300, and benefit changes and increases. So that's like people going from a family plan to a two-person or a one-person, and
Yeah, that should say decreases and decreases.
right.
Sorry.
But it's in parentheses, so everything in parentheses is a decrease.
Right.
So it comes up that it is an increase overall of almost 8%. But if you were to take out the special ed, what would it be?
I would have
Roughly,
to pull
can
that
you-
up.
Well, the increase.
So it'd be, roughly a quarter, so would the
Yeah.
increase be like at 5%?
4 or 5%.
Something like that, yeah.
Well, and I would point out that the largest line
You do it on
item
your
is a
thing.
spread of
No,
students.
that was just in my head.
Yeah, the tuition.
That's
I
tuition, I
don't-
mean, that's,
I don't even think
if you
that-
graduate
type of
kids,
thing.
you guys, luckily you guys both come
I
from
can if you want me to.
tuitioning towns.
Terrible.
If you graduate more kids, then you have rising from 6 to 7.
And I do very
Sometimes
well
you
numbers
have
in my head.
a savings and sometimes you have.
So roughly 300,000 of a 390,000 increases tuition and special ed.
Yes.
Both things that
And
we
the
can't control.
44,000, remember, is also a wash, so you're gonna see that
Right.
later in revenues, so that actually should be pulled out as well.
Yeah, okay,
Because
so
that's-
then you're at $40,000 increase in a $5 million budget, so that's 1%, less than 1%, right?
That this board can control.
Right.
Control, right.
And this is something I don't know in Wardsboro, but Laura always got very frustrated in Dover because, the only place we can control is at the elementary building itself, because by the time you take out tuition and special ed and those things we can't control, there's really little that we do get to control. So, is there any question on the summary?
Well, I,
Yeah, hang on a sec. Go ahead and then, Kerry.
okay, I would just point out that you are investing in 3-year-olds for both buildings and a focus in Wardsboro for that 1%. So it's not like you're just
Right, it's 20% professional development, 20,000 professional development on top of
the
the other
position.
professional development that we already have budgeted.
Absolutely.
Carrie?
Can I just ask the reduction in transportation? I know you said you talked about that at the meeting
Yeah, so
before
what
Thanksgiving.
happened was, transportation goes through Wyndham Central. Wyndham Central contracts with West River.
Right.
They give them a dollar amount, it's $100. And then Lori says, okay, well, out of that $100, 25 belongs to Newfane and 25 belongs to Jamaica, and however it was assigned. Well, they hadn't really looked at the assignment of those numbers for a couple of years. So Lori this year was able to look at the assignment of the numbers, and said, okay, for Wardsboro, you were paying an inappropriate share of that transportation, so
larger share.
this is what it should be.
Right, and it's based on ADM, and it just hadn't been adjusted over the years with declining enrollment.
Average daily.
Membership. And then not to be confused with WADM, which is weighted average daily membership.
Oh, thank you.
I haven't heard that term in a long
That's
time.
an old
That's an
term.
old
I know.
term.
Because they moved to equalize pupils.
Yeah, equalized pupils.
So, on the summary, does anybody have any questions? Yes.
One quick one. And I know you, I think you went through this last time. How much of this tuition increase is just a tuition increase, and how much of it is new students, like net, more students going out?
So
Is that
there-
something we could kind of break down?
I can give you that breakdown. I think I have
Yeah, you
that.
had given us something last
I
time.
thought I gave you something, yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Right
have
in
it.
front of me.
Oops, wrong folder.
Definitely were more students going into
Yeah, there
secondary
was-
than.
Yeah,
There was
it's just
a-
nice to know, do you know what I mean? Okay, part of this is 5 new students and the rest of it is tuition increases.
Right, right.
Because if you have more students, it really doesn't impact, I mean, it impacts the overall spend, but not the per pupil cost.
Okay, so this, we can make copies of this if you'd like, but there was, yeah, there you go.
So what is it, Rick?
Do you want me to
Just an increase.
Yeah, why don't you?
explain it?
Yeah,
Okay.
just tell us.
So there was, Dover had 11 12th graders and 26th graders that moved, so that was
Okay,
a
so that's
net
a
of
plus
9.
nine.
Yeah, and then the balance, so I don't necessarily have the money broken out that way, but I can get that for you. You know, how much, so the 9, we estimated at the 17,000.
Oh, you're pretty close right there.
17,500.
Right, so 9 times
Is
17.
Wardsboro a large, then they have the same going out as coming in?
They had,
I
not,
think we have more going out.
Yeah.
Because that was a big class.
just a little bit, but not too many, so.
So majority of it is not the increase in tuition, but more just the increase in students.
Right.
And of course, remember too, this is always a wild guess because, you know, there could be 30 students move out between now and graduation or school next year, or 50 new students could move in, and we don't have a say.
Right.
It's based on 135 combined. Okay. That's public, private, and out-of-state.
But not special, because they're on a separate line item.
Right, yeah, no, that's just the tuition.
I thought it was around 10,
Yeah,
change
so
about
that-
10, right?
That
Yeah.
would make sense. So-
10 for 17,
Yeah.
about 17 each.
Right.
Yeah, I just, you know, I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead, no, go ahead the floor, then we'll go.
No, I just, say, it happened in Wardsboro, we were over budget, I mentioned it the last meeting too, I'm just wondering if is it based on, you just increased the budget from last year, or is it based on actual numbers?
It's based on actual students. I got in touch with Tammy and Matt, and we worked through the numbers as best we can, you know, you just
Again, it's
don't
a
know.
guess.
Yeah.
Right, and all of the students that were going to secondary, I did budget at the higher rate, the 17.5, which was adding 3% to the burden. Right, so, you know, that covers in case, you know, there'll be some of those that go to public school, which is less.
So,
No, hang on.
Yeah, just, right, so
That
that
makes
makes
sense.
sense, I just know that last year obviously it's better to be over budget than under budget, I
Right.
get that, but we were way over budget in Wardsboro last year, and I was just wondering if that was taken into consideration or not, but
Mhm.
you guys have your methodology, so.
Right, we just basically went down through who the kids and
Yeah.
where we thought they would go and where,
Okay.
you know.
Kerry.
so the 135 students, that's all of secondary for both Wardsboro and for Dover for next year.
Projecting.
Projecting.
For,
Again, based on people
Less,
who are.
less
moving
special
out.
ed students, because they're in a different
That's a
line,
separate-
they're in a different category, in a different group.
You're basically taking your 6th through
Right.
11th graders
Right,
and moving them up a year.
gotcha. For next year's one.
Exactly.
Well, the current, 6
Right,
through
so it
11.
will be
through
7th
11.
graders.
Right.
They're gonna be 7 through 12 next
Yes.
year. Our estimate is that we have 135
Between
River
two
Valley
schools.
students, yes.
Okay.
Subtract out your 12.
So it always varies, because if you have a bigger 12th grade, a bigger graduating class in 12th grade than 6th grade,
Right.
then your budget, your numbers come down because you're projecting less students. And then there's some years that you have a lot more
Yeah.
children or students in 6th grade than you did in 12th grade, so you're increasing your numbers, so.
Yeah.
And that's, as Dwight said, it's again, it's a crapshoot, it's, where you hope to be.
In Dover, we have a big 6th grade class graduating, very big class.
That's why they
That's
figured
why
the
they-
extra.
That's the,
Right.
It's all your fault.
Yeah, we got all that.
Laura?
Just clarifying that Burn Burton is the highest tuition.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, no.
no.
Remember though, it's Burn's the highest tuition that we will pay, but that's the number we give to any secondary student who's going to a private school.
Yeah.
So, Northfield Mount Herman is much higher tuition than Burn.
No,
but
I
think it was-
understand,
okay.
I understand, but I mean, in the past,
I think it was 65.
in the past, the public schools, some of the public schools have been higher.
Yeah, and I think,
So I just wanted to clarify that.
So they haven't declared, we haven't gotten the allowed public school tuition, so I can't say for sure that 17.5 is going to be
I think it was 60.
lower than any
When are-
public
Yeah.
school,
When
because
are
you
we-
could be allowed, it's supposed to come in January,
Mhm.
but
Mm.
with what's happening right now,
budgets get approved.
Yeah.
yeah,
I think last year it was $65 more than Leland and Gray.
Right,
right. It was 17,000 and 17,065, you're
that's
correct.
correct, yeah. And so I
But
just.
Leland and Gray hasn't finalized
They
their
haven't
budget,
announced
so,
a tuition yet?
Yeah, we don't know that stuff. Yeah.
and we don't know what Brattleboro's gonna be or Twin Valley, and those are the 3 primary schools we send to.
Right.
It's just always a data point for me because
Yeah.
when we elected to pay more to send kids to Burn Burton than we had to,
Right.
the argument was made that
If everybody went to Twin Valley, that was higher.
that that the public schools were higher anyway,
really?
so we might as well
One
pay
of them at that time.
more
Yeah.
to pay, so I
And
just
that
like
was,
to.
that was kind of the breaking point in Wardsboro, when the price became the same, then we just voted
Yeah.
for it.
No, it's fine, I just think that it's always an important data point to make sure we're clear about.
And just
It's the
remember
highest.
that Burn Burton number has to be voted on every year, it's not a given. So we're budgeting for it, so it's there, because in Dover at least, we always told the voters, if you approve it the first year, we're not gonna make you bring it back as a special article, but we, as a board, are required to bring it up as an article every year, because it says annually, the electorate shall determine the rate, and that's what we have to do. So we have to, bring a number forward. And Burn usually is pretty good about getting their numbers out early.
Oh, they'll get it out
I'm
there
sure we'll
quick.
see that number before the next meeting, probably.
It'll be less than 17.5,
You think so?
yeah. It'll be 17,465.
Do we have a poll started?
Okay, so is there any questions on the comparison sheet that Lori did before we move forward? Yes.
One quick question. The reduction in building other, what is that?
It's a very good question to remember. There's my sheet.
I don't know, no.
No, I think it's under here. I have a lot of sheets, you guys. That's a good question. I don't remember. I'll have to look that up for you.
Okay.
Let me get.
Lori, I think it was, remember we had set aside
Oh,
an
thank
additional
you,
amount
yes.
of money for Wardsboro's
Yes.
budget this year?
Thanks, Dan.
And
Yes.
so we had kept it in, but then I said we're not gonna need that, so we can take
Right.
that out for next year.
That's exactly what it was, right? So there was if you remember in Wardsboro, we did fencing, we had some costs in there for fencing, and what else? There was a few other
Playground,
things.
to redo the library.
Right. And that's what we pulled out. Yes, thank you.
I think
More
we did
specific in my
really good
notes.
work as well.
Thank you.
So again, the other thing too, though, is on building, because we're gonna get up to this shortly. Dwight's gonna lead us down the road on the capital budget for the building. So some of that may be coming out of a whole different line item also. They'll come out of capital, like if we needed a roof or something, so. It's not done yet?
I'm making another note right now.
Okay,
Much
so
like the note from
Dwight
the last
won't,
meeting.
Dwight won't lead us down the road this meeting.
Just not yet.
Okay, so if everybody's good with Lori, you all set?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, then, do you have the budget for us? to
I
look
do.
at again?
Yeah. So I've done some revenue assumptions.
Well, I wanna stay off revenues.
Okay,
Let's just
that's fine.
talk about expenditures, because we don't vote revenues, we vote expenditures.
Okay.
So let's look at expenditures, folks, and let's see if we can nail expenditures
Well,
down.
my budget has the
That's
revenues
fine,
to begin
we'll
with.
ignore that,
You would just ignore it, okay.
yeah. Not that I don't like and appreciate the work, I just think sometimes we get confused.
Thank you.
Again, it's not, you know, it's only up the, basically, yeah, I heard it. Who else needs?
Okay, so if you start on where it says in big letters FY20, proposed expense budget detail. So this is, as Lori explained last week, and I'll let her explain what she's done passing out. So the first section is pre-K, and then she goes into elementary, and it's all the different, the direct, direct instruction of teachers, paraeducators, health insurance for those positions, FICA, VEMR's, which is retirement for non-licensed or non-certified employees, unemployment, so all the employee benefits, she's got them separated out into different sections, so you can see what the preschool actually costs you. The special ed SU assessments, and then the bottom of the first page and the second page is all your elementary instructional, including books and technology. Remember that some of the technology stuff got moved to Wyndham Central's budget, so that's why you see a 0 for like hardware. You have the art and you have teacher. So one school has an art teacher, another school subs that through the agency fund budget. That's why you see like 8,000 for a teacher, and then you see 10,000 for purchase from Public Vermont LEA, which is Wyndham Central. Foreign language, music band is part of the agency fund. Music education, some of that's agency fund. Phys ed section, and you can just look through it. There's I think it's like if you go to the third page, principals, administration. That's not one person making $145,000 in administration. That's the total principal salaries for both buildings. It's the clerical for both buildings. It's the health insurance. It's all combined. So it used to be that people would look at the principal salary in your individual budget and say, that's how much principal makes. Well, now they don't know. They have to go a little deeper and dig further. Operational, there's care and upkeep, which is the lands, the grounds, transportation, and somewhere towards there is a summary. So the second to last page, about a third of the way down, it says summary, 2,474,046. So that's all your elementary expenses for both buildings. Then you go into direct instruction, special ed, vocational, and then you see a second summary on that line. It's 31 of 2,459,000. That's all your secondary. That's your tuition, your transportation for the secondary, and I'm sorry, not transportation. And it's your tuition and your special ed for secondary. And then I like what Lori did here, which has always been different because it's always kind of been in the elementary and the Board of Ed services. And that's our, the stipends we get. It's it's Peter and it's Rich recording us, and the audit and legal services and the treasurer. And administration for the technology, that's a piece that got moved out of our elementary budget, and that's now on purchase from when something says purchase from Public Vermont LEA, that's usually Wyndham Central. And that's both your superintendent's budget and your agency fund budget and your special ed budget. And then on the bottom is your total, 5,300,000. So when you guys are ready, or if you're ready at some point, we would make a motion to warn, that we want to have an operational budget approved by the voters of $5,346,131 for the towns together. And I can't remember, Lori, last meeting, you may remember better, but were there any, what were the questions, or other than the explanations about just a few things, how they moved from like elementary into the superintendent stuff?
Right.
I don't remember a lot of other questions that popped up, do you?
Not really. We talked about structure, you know, like where everything was and all of that. I think you had some questions, but I think we were able to answer all of them.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Laura.
I have two questions.
Go.
So my first question is actually under the Board of Ed.
Yep.
Where are the stipends actually in there?
It's the first line, the 5191.
Treasurer?
It does say treasurer on it.
Okay.
That's,
Am I
some of
sa-
these things come from the new system that, so.
Okay.
And that was one of the things Lori's checking into, seeing if she can change some of these.
Yeah.
So
And
I
that was
have
brought up, Laura.
Yeah.
Pardon?
Yeah,
Okay.
so I have actually been able to change some of them. If you remember, the transportation was resident, so it was really hard.
Right.
So I was able to change that transportation, and now it's transportation res, so you can understand that. I was able to shorten some of the things,
Yeah,
but
Laura, look down too, and then we have treasurer and board clerk down below.
Yep, I see 'em.
And that's the stipends for both the treasurer, the district treasurer, and we decided $200 a month because, Andy's gonna have to do the votes and stuff, and then the treasurer will be having to actually approve stuff and signing stuff, so I talked to both of them, and they were both felt that that was an appropriate, they didn't think it was overboard, but they also thought it compensated them fairly for the additional work they have to do.
And then my second question, and I know I missed most of the budget presentation last time, as you know, Rich. So, and I know we're inputting this into a new system, and so we're just not gonna have a detailed last year, this year, but can we have a high level for, is that what this is?
that's what the summary is.
And so that's total for, what I'm thinking about is a high level comparison. So not line item by line item, but where we roll up into the summary, so for staff, it was this much last year, it is this much this year, not line item by line
Well,
item.
and that's what the summary, so staffing changes and salary increases, the difference is $70,000 between last year and this year.
This is all of the summary lines?
Yeah, so instead of, it's so hard to kind of compare
We
apples to
weren't
apples.
organized in that way last year. The way your
Right.
budget's organized now was not organized.
No, I know, and I know
Right.
that's why
So
we can't
that's
do
why-
detail, but that's what I'm.
Well, that's why she did this overall sheet, because this is what we asked for. So Rick and I met with Lori and Bill before we presented the budget at the last meeting, just to kind of be like a sounding board, so we didn't present something to everybody, so everybody's so confused, nobody knew which end was up. Rick and I probably had the most experience with budgets, so we thought it would be good, the four of us, to sit down, and we do this at the Wyndham Central level too, for the last 3 years, really since you've kind of taken charge of it, and it seems to work really well, because we then, as board members, we say, okay, we understand this, but it won't make sense to everybody else, so that's why we came
Been
up with
very
this, Laura, to kind of give people an overview, here's what we're proposing for a budget, here's what the two budgets were last year, and then here's the reasons why it's up and down, or here are the major up and down, sort of like my old over-under
Well,
sheet.
that's what it looks like to me, which is
Yeah.
great, but that's not the same as what I'm asking.
Okay.
So, and I don't need it to vote
Mhm.
at all. What I'm talking about is when we go to the bigger meeting, there may be questions. If we can break out just a little bit of last year versus this year.
Okay, but like, it's there. So the
It's not.
staffing difference is a half a position in preschool, and it's $69,000.
Okay, so I am willing to set this aside for now, because this is more of a question of materials that we're gonna need when we go to the public. But this is not actually
Okay.
This is not. I would like a little bit more detail, understanding that we're starting at a whole new system, that we're not gonna get a high level of detail, and I don't want a high level of detail. I'm talking about even like, can we roll up the green items? And just do a comparison from last year to this year. But again, I don't think this is not imperative
No,
for
and-
tonight.
Right, and we can't really, because so many things are not where they used to be. Because so many things have been moved, it would be hard to do that. That's why we suggested this, because this is this is a high level overview. And I think to try to, it would be really crazy, I think, it'd be very difficult to ask somebody to look at both budgets and bring it over to this new budget, because basically, we can go to the voters and say, nothing's changing in either school, except for we're adding 3-year-olds in Wardsboro, so we needed a half-time position in there. And pretty much nothing else is changing. There's no increase in staff or decrease in staff. We didn't combine any grades. We didn't do away with the librarians. Everything is pretty much status quo. Because that's what we wanted to do for the first year, to see how it sugars, kind of everything works out. And then next year, we'll be able to do a little bit better comparison, and we'll also have had a year under our belts to see where we're going. Plus, we'll know where the Wardsboro focus is gonna be.
Okay.
And hopefully can give better numbers. And so this first year is gonna be a little bit of a leap of faith.
Okay.
That's the word I was gonna use.
I'm probably gonna
Yeah.
dig in on this. I am gonna dig in on this. I don't wanna dig in on this now.
Okay.
So when we go to town meeting, I wanna dig in a little bit more. And I'm happy to
So
talk to
just,
Lori. I'm happy to talk to Lori.
Can you just kind of let us know what you think you can do for us easily without creating, do you understand where Laura's trying to go?
I do,
Okay.
yeah. So, for instance, the pre-K wasn't really broken out in both budgets equally, right? So Wardsboro didn't really break out their pre-K costs. So that would mean I would have to dig in and pull those costs out of the direct instruction for Wardsboro. Now, Dover did have a pre-K section.
Yes.
So, but I think where I could do definitely elementary. We could compare those two, this is what Wardsboro and Dover spent, for fiscal year 19 on their elementary, and this is what they spent on their secondary, because those numbers are pretty easy to pull out of the budgets.
Yeah. It is not my intention to tie Lori up.
No,
I
I
understand
know.
that we are all changing. It is my intention to eliminate any problems we can eliminate when we go for.
Well, that's why I think if Lori understands what you're looking for,
Yeah, so I'm happy
then
to have an offline.
the next meeting, she can bring that to us and let us know what's easy to do. And I think if you're looking for like subtotals too, because this really doesn't do it for us, I think that makes sense. Like here was your total elementary, or here was your elementary instructional, here was your elementary transportation. Maybe those things aren't that hard to pull out, but I think to compare apples to apples would be.
It's impossible. I
Yeah.
understand that, but.
So I think that where I would have a hard time is that you can't, in my eyes, you can't just do that with one piece of the budget and not all the pieces of the budget, because then how are you
But we have.
coming up with the $380,000, right?
Yeah.
So, but I could do it by primary and secondary. That would be pretty easy to do, and that would give you, this is what you were spending in primary before, and this is what you're spending now.
It used to be, we had 3 major groupings in the Dover budget. I don't know if Wardsboro was similar. We had elementary. No, I'm sorry, we had 2 major groupings. We had elementary and we had secondary. Now you've gone to 3 major groupings. You've got an elementary, secondary, and I don't know what you want to call that, board served.
Sure, district-wide.
Right, because like the elementary used to include the board.
Right.
And all the board expenses and the superintendent's budget.
Mm-hmm.
Would it be okay to do those 3 major ones?
Yeah, and yes, that would be fine. I just think we have to help people understand a little bit, to the extent that we can.
Right.
I mean, I know we're not, and I don't have any
And I think
expectation
that,
that we're
that
gonna
to
pick
me,
it all apart.
the easy selling point, if I was in the public, is that we're asking you for $5,346,000. Last year you gave us $4,956,000, and out of that almost $400,000 increase, we're asking for more money in tuition increase, cause we got more kids going to secondary. And I think that may be, and then with the,
So you can go into Dover with this, and you're gonna be just fine. I don't know if you can go into Wardsboro with this and be just fine, or if Rick can go into Dover, I don't know, I mean, so people don't know us. Do you know what I mean? So the faith and trust that we have had in the past, I think we just need to make sure, people feel really comfortable, as much as we can, that's
and
reasonable.
I think this is a really good discussion. I'd like to keep going with it a little bit, just to
On a
give Lori some
different
direction. So can you guys weigh in on that, what you guys think, cause you're from Wardsboro?
As far as presenting this?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you said it right, it's kind of a leap of faith. I mean, we can't compare every line item. There is no previous budget. We knew that going in. So I think this is a good idea. I do think this would perfectly make sense. I am concerned though about the increase. So it's a 7.85% increase. We told the voters that we would possibly find some savings, cost savings, and that's higher than the cost of living. So I am wondering if there's a way to, if we can,
And that's why I
sharpen our
think this,
pencil a bit, because to present this does kind of scare me, saying, okay, it's 7.85% increase.
Rick?
I think $175,000 in secondary is probably a good explanation for part of it.
Well, that
I mean,
and 125
In
in,
It
special
is,
ed,
I
and I
just-
think people do understand the special ed costs are not controllable or containable by
And the
the board itself.
secondary.
We can explain it, we
Two
can
of them.
explain it.
and you back those two out, and
You
then
back
your
those two out,
increase
you're
is
at like
the cost of living.
$80,000.
Right, that's right.
If we back those out, we're at 1%.
That's right.
essentially,
Right.
Yeah,
That's
that's
what
why I
we,
keep,
that's what we can
that's
control.
why I keep bringing that up,
That is
because we
what
were
we
over budget,
That's
way
what
over
we can
budget last year,
control,
but
so-
anyway, I'd like to take a look at that, but I don't
Then
know.
we can try and cut those expenses out, but we're cutting them out of the elementary schools.
Well, no,
Right.
Dwight's feeling is because, and that's why he brought up, correct me if I'm wrong, because there have been some
The last-
surpluses
the last-
in Wardsboro
Yeah,
in secondary.
we were way over budget the last 2 years.
But your numbers
Way
came,
over budget.
has Wardsboro's ADM come down, Lori?
Yes. It has over the years.
12% increase in
Right,
healthcare.
right. So when you just, on a high level, if
Yeah.
you think about the budget for fiscal year 19, and then let's say, you add your negotiated increases and you add your healthcare increase to that, and then what I'm showing you, this 389,000, you back all of that, the numbers that we just talked about, and you're really at a decrease in a way, because if we had increased just based on last year's budget, then, you would have, and I can work up those numbers too. So which is what I did for West River too. So I said, okay, in fiscal year 19, if you add the negotiated increases and the healthcare increases, I would project you would be at whatever that number is. And then that would be a comparison as well.
So maybe
That
one
help?
number to break out for us, and I'll get you, is that staffing change and salary increase. Maybe break out the salary increase from the staffing change. Can you make that two separate?
Right, yes, and we also talked about last time, and I said I would do it in our final draft, is to put the FTEs next to the
Right.
salary lines. And so that would also help.
I mean, if you show the equation on here, that almost solves it for me. Do you know what it, so, this year minus minus last year, that almost solves it for me, because it just allows a little more context, right? So what we're talking about, the big number that we're
Okay.
talking about.
When you say the equation.
So
you
how
mean-
do, so you are subtracting some number from some number to get this? So in one, you're doing a 2018, 2019 calculation and getting that number.
It's right there.
Those are,
No, I think what you're saying is, to get to the 69,391, I had this much before.
Yeah.
It's this much this year, this is why, here's the increase.
so I mean, you already have the two numbers.
So it would just,
For each of these.
Yes.
This would
you already
be-
have
this
the
would
two
be a
numbers.
three
This is what I
column.
need this year, this is what we had
Right.
last year.
it would be 3 columns, it would be,
Yeah,
you know.
that would,
And
that
it- and
I
it
might
was-
get it.
It's FY19, FY20, and then notes.
The difference.
And even if it's just these, that improves it a lot for me, because it helps with
Right,
context.
and then I think that covers too, because we've got enough room on this, if we put a little gap in between, we, on the tuition, we can say, 192 kids last year, 200, or whatever those numbers. Boom, it's right there.
And I heard Lori express some concern before about not doing every number and just doing those, so.
Yeah, because I mean, you
I
should.
mean, we're spending a lot
Yeah.
of time on this now, Rich.
Well, no, but I think it's good because this is what,
FY
but,
20, variance
Rick,
of notes.
you're all good? You think that would,
Yeah, I
So-
think that maybe if we came up with a cost per pupil on this page too, it might help too. I don't know how much the cost per pupil is going up. Because that's really the number that matters, right?
Yeah,
As far as tax rate goes.
right.
Unfortunately, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
It's stating the obvious.
Dwight, you good?
Yeah.
I have that.
Fair. Okay, Kerry? Okay, so I think, Lori, for the next meeting, it's a real simple thing with, if you could adjust that for us.
Sure.
And if we do happen to get, if you do happen to get a feel for like Leland and Gray, and you know that, 20% of the students are going to Leland and Gray, and you can, even the difference is $500, there's some money, there's $10,000 we can take out of that increase, right? So let's, for next meeting, adjust that tuition number, if you have any idea, at least on that one. And Bill, maybe we can call over to Burton and just, I'm sure they've probably got a number in their mind already.
Well, I estimated it at 17.5, and he's saying
It's gonna be
17.4,
right. It's gonna be right.
75, so.
Yeah.
They're always shooting between 2.5 and 2.9%.
Okay.
They're
And
very
I went
respectful.
3, so
Okay, so perfect.
I don't think that
So,
will.
but that 10,000 though, like if the difference with Leland and Gray is $500, I mean, that could, and most of Wardsboro students go to Leland.
So we figured that. So if I knew where they were going, or I didn't know. If Tammy had an idea or a sense of where they were going,
Okay.
I did
So
put
you
them
didn't
in the
use
right
the
spots.
17.5 for them, you used the Leland and Gray number.
I used,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you said
I
you
used
just.
17,000 because,
Okay,
I don't know
no,
what they're
perfect,
gonna
I thought you said you used I thought you did that across the board.
no.
Okay,
No,
So
it's
then-
really the 10 students that, were,
Right.
that I didn't know, and we don't know.
so
where
then
they're gonna
you're
go, right?
comfortable that this number here that you're presenting at us, this 5346131 is a good number,
Yeah,
that you can, as everything you know right now.
and everything I know right now.
Right, and there's nothing that's gonna change that number that we're aware of, because tuitions don't come out till January.
Mhm.
And everything else we're pretty knowledgeable on. There's no major staff changes that anybody's asked for. It's gonna come up because that's already been taken care of. The service plan's been sent to the state, so that's not gonna change, even if the students change. I mean, those are the numbers we're gonna be using.
Right.
So what number could change?
Before
Between
you
now,
guys need to vote on a budget?
no, before we present this budget to the voter, before we get to January. So what I'm asking is, if we vote this number now, would we have been able to make major changes if we wait till the 1st of January?
No, so special ed's not going to change, because that's been locked down by the service plan and the SU budget.
So even if we have students move in,
Right.
it's not
It-
changing.
No.
Who's
The
eating?
only
It
thing that
doesn't-
would
doesn't
change is
until
if,
the end, and then it's an
if you had
unanticipated.
students move in the next 30 days that were gonna be secondary students next year.
But a student can move in too, so I mean, it's.
They could move out and they could move in, but you're saying, what are the big
No,
things that could happen? That could happen.
So
on
we're not gonna have any more information in 30 days than we're gonna have now
No.
to vote on this budget. So there's no reason not to vote on the budget, I guess is where I'm pushing, as I'm asking.
So
I
what's the motion?
I don't think you buy anything for yourself.
The transportation committee, just if they come up with something, I
Right.
think that would be the only,
And we can come revisit that if they decide to do something different. If that money doesn't work, they can come and let us know.
right.
Yeah, you're right.
So what is the motion that we're looking for?
To approve of River Valley's Unified School District budget of $5,346,131.
So moved.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so any more discussion? Now remember, however we present it, that's something we can change, and, that doesn't mean we're locked into this presentation, but, yes.
So the budget, we're doing it's not from the floor this year, right? That's right.
Right.
So we won't be able to the only explanation we'll have is the prior to the meetings, at the
Yeah.
informational budget meeting.
We'll have
So-
2 informational meetings, and we'll also
Right.
have the annual meeting, and you'll also have your
Okay.
school district meetings for both towns. So you have 5 times to present this.
So let's say I miss all 5 of those meetings, then I'll be just, the only thing I'll know is the budget went up 7.85%. Just to let you know, so it'll be hard to, we won't be able, we know we're not gonna explain this at the town meeting.
So you'll,
So,
when you.
If,
Hang on one
so if I don't go to those meetings, I just go to town meeting and I'm with, and I go to vote and I see this number at 7.85%, that's what I'm voting on. So that just makes me a little nervous, that's what I'm saying. I know there's nothing we can
And
do about it.
here's the other
or
thing
it
we
seems
tell
to be.
people too, it doesn't matter what you vote for a budget number,
Well,
because you could vote a 25% increase and have a 10% tax reduction.
I understand that, but you, like you said, we're only voting on the expenses.
Right. And
So-
the other problem is that with that kind of vote, we understood that this was a tough thing. So we could direct Lori and Bill to bring us a budget that has no increase, but
Well, I'm not
then-
suggesting no
but
increase.
let me just go down there.
All right.
So we could do that, and they could bring us a budget with no increase. The problem is, it's probably not a realistic budget, and we're gonna run a deficit.
Yeah.
And we know that it's better to run surpluses than it is to run deficits, because deficits take away and you have no control.
Yeah.
And the one thing that both our administrators, from what I've seen with Tammy, and I haven't worked a lot, and Matt, and Bill and Lori at the central office, is that they don't say, hey, wow, it's the end of the year, or it's within 30 days of the end of the year. We only spent half the budget, let's start spending some money.
Right.
If there's a reason not to spend it, they don't spend it. And unfortunately, in a tuitioning school district, you have a lot of issues there. Because that tuition is so difficult to predict.
Yeah.
And that is,
Sure.
it's always gonna be a problem. You're never gonna, if you hit tuition within 5%, 10%, you're probably doing really well.
Because last year in Wardsboro, we were over budget by $80,000 on secondary tuition.
Yeah, but
So
remember,
I'm-
now we're a great school district, and
Right,
everybody's
everyone's
gonna
dying
wanna
to come,
come
they're all
here.
dying to come, I get it, I'm just, for me, I'd love to see that number around 5%, but if it's not possible, it's not possible.
It's-
I'm just
Well,
just
hang on,
suggesting
can-
that, but
wait.
that's just, because I know we're not gonna have the opportunity to explain it on town meeting day, and, we'll have those meetings ahead of time, and then if people wanna.
And actually, you may be able to explain it on town meeting day, because we were told that you can bring up an item that's gonna be voted on by ballot, not an election of people, but we were able to, for the Act 46, we were able to have a discussion before people voted.
Right.
Even though, so that was something that you would wanna check with, in Wardsboro, and maybe.
We can answer questions on the.
Right, maybe you could say, and then I think the other thing too, Dwight, which is really important, is then when we talk with Anita next meeting, we need to really stress that, yeah, it looks like a big increase, but here's why it really isn't.
Okay.
So Lori, did you wanna, you were trying to,
I'm sorry,
no.
my brain was going so fast. I just wanted to point out that in the past, the ballots have had the cost per student on it. So it
Right.
doesn't say the budget, the expense budget went up 7.85%. It's the cost per student and what that goes up. So just as a clarification, so, which we're gonna get to eventually,
But we don't have the ADM yet,
We don't have the, no,
because that got put off, that we should have had that by now, but,
the 15th. We're supposed to
Let's
have
look
it by
at it.
statute by the 15th, but
Okay.
it won't be till the end of the month, if not the beginning of next month.
okay. Laura, did you have a comment?
I mean, just that, in addition to this, we could have like a one-sheeter kind of, we could do bulk mail, like a one-page, very simple, high-level explanation.
Well, we're gonna have to.
We could hand it
too.
out.
Right.
We're
I
gonna have to
know
get
we'll
the
have a lot
budget
of,
stuff out
we'll
to
have a lot of
people.
budget stuff, but we could have something very simple to say to people, like, yes, it says that, but here's the net effect on your tax rate.
And we can also say, hey, watch this award-winning television show.
Oh, God, I forgot the award.
Yes,
I know, we're waiting to see it.
bring that each week. All right.
Anybody else have any discussion, hang on, from the board on the budget?
One thing, there's no capital in here, is there?
No.
No.
We didn't
Did we do that on purpose?
Well, I thought at last meeting, we pretty much decided Dwight's gonna give us a capital thing, and we may be able to fund the capital out of our reserves now. Yeah,
1 year?
for the first year until we kind of get settled where we're going.
We probably can, I just want people to get used to seeing the capital number in there. you know?
And usually
So-
that's a separate article too, is capital funding would be a separate article. So
That's right.
we always voted operational and then we would vote a capital. Or we vote capital first, then operational last. We get in the little numbers first.
Did we budget for BCTV in here? And did we budget an increase or at what the level that we're at?
I think it was the same level, I just.
Why? Because we're award winning now, we need more money, better
No,
production.
no,
They're
actually,
losing some
public
funding, right?
access
Yeah.
television is
Oh, there was something in the
having a
paper today.
severe amount
Yeah,
of
it was in
stress.
the paper today.
So we may actually wanna think about increasing that number if we wanna keep that, or think about how we would. What is the number for that?
Yeah. 2,400.
200 a month. 2 times.
Again, I would,
We can
who knows?
absorb- we can
That's
find-
trying
We can
to
find,
predict and-
okay.
yeah.
Great,
Small number.
alright, good, I'm good.
Is there any, from the board, any other
Yeah.
comments before we move on?
24,000 for-
Specifically about,
The motion on the floor.
yeah.
Okay, you had a comment on the motion on the floor?
Yeah.
Okay,
well,
go ahead.
Two.
Yeah,
One,
that's fine.
I think this is appropriate. If the 7.85% number is scary, you can break that up into 2 sections, what you have control over and what you don't have control over. And that may help relieve.
What we have control over is actually a reduction.
Right, well, that's why I'm saying it may relieve some of the concern. And then I just wanted to wish, mostly them, congratulations for what essentially is a flat budget. I think it's a very good
The
job.
comment we used to have in Dover was, if you have a 0% increase, you reduce the budget because your cost of
Right.
living
Right.
means the dollars buys less than it did before. If there's no other discussion, we have a motion to approve the budget as presented by central office in the amount of $5,346,131. If there's no more discussion, are you ready to vote? Big thing, guys. This is the
Yeah,
first
I'm
River Valley budget.
uncomfortable not knowing what the cost per student is.
We can revote, right?
We can somebody can make a motion to revisit this, but this will lock us in for now, and this will give us kind of the numbers that we need to move forward with.
We can revisit,
We're
that's
not
fine.
probably gonna know the numbers till Well, do you have a rough number now?
I do, yeah.
Okay.
If you want it, just did a, you
Would you
know,
like that before you vote, guys?
I would make me feel more comfortable.
Okay. Is that on the top of the page, Lori, or
no,
different, Holman paper?
Separate page.
More paper.
Computer
You really
world we
think we're gonna
live
make
in.
$1,000 in interest this year?
and this is, these are rough numbers.
You have to edit it out.
Okay. So, the numbers? Oh, down here, all right. So, there's still a lot of information to come in from the state yet, particularly around equalized pupils. So these equalized pupils of, if you look down the page to the 282.15, are just your equalized pupils for fiscal year 19 combined. Okay? No increases, no decreases. So you've got your $5 million budget up here. We have some offsetting revenues. Gives you your ed spending number, 4.9 million. Is everybody following me down the page? Okay. Divided by the equalized pupils, gives you your ed spending per equalized pupil. Okay, so I can provide, yeah. I mean, I can provide a comparison for each town next to that, I guess, if that's eventually
Well, I
when
think your
we,
comparison's down on the bottom.
yeah, I mean, it really is, the comparison is the tax rate, yes, Rich, you're right. And so the excess spending threshold is said to come in at 18.3 this year, but you are under that, so you don't have to worry about that. And then the proposed yield actually just came out from the commissioner's letter, which I brought a copy of for you guys to have. I don't know if I have And then, so this is your anticipated tax rate, number one. Okay, this is before incentive and before CLA. Okay, so $1.66. So this is where you see your $380,000 increase, right, is in the tax rate, because you both had tax rates quite a bit lower than this. But again, we have then the 8-cent incentive, bringing it down to a unified tax rate of $1.58. Okay, then, again, using your CLA numbers for fiscal year 19, I put them through that. And the number 3, the little 3 over there, is the fiscal year estimated tax rate. $1.52 in Dover, $1.43 in Wardsboro. That's compared with the fiscal year 19 numbers that are right next to it. But I want to caution you, those fiscal year 19 numbers were artificially
Low,
low.
because we bought the rate down with the.
Two things happened, right? So, yes, both of you bought the rates down by whatever you put in, 81,000 for Wardsboro, and I can't remember exactly what for Dover. But also, the governor used the one-time money to drive down the tax rate in the last minute. Right?
So the problem is too, again, we don't know what's gonna happen in most peculiar come
Exactly.
January, February, March, April,
That's
May.
exactly right.
So if you actually take, that number's probably the number that we started with in Dover before we artificially bought it down, not including the governor.
The $1.52.
Yeah.
Right. So,
So, I mean, I think that we're probably in about the exact same boat we were last year.
I think you're in the better boat.
Well, yeah, we won't have to move as much from reserves if we want to.
Right.
Probably shouldn't move any if we're gonna be using that for capital too.
right.
Well,
so,
no, we have building capital.
you doing? What's that? No,
Well,
wait,
in Dover,
how much we got?
in Dover, we always vote not to move more than 333, a third of what's in there.
Right.
But Lori, just roughly, how much would we have to move to buy our rates down 6 cents for each town, you know?
Right. Between 175 and 185. Somewhere
For
in there.
both towns, so that's like 90,000 each town.
Yes.
That's a lot less than we used last year. How much did you guys use, do you know?
No, it's 81.
So you're about, so if you use the
That
same
weird
money
number.
for this budget, so you can say that this budget that you're gonna vote on will result in an identical tax rate
Based on the incentive.
if we use the buy down and the
So-
This
incentive.
includes the incentive? Yeah.
What?
Yeah, I would encourage us to be really careful not to shorthand this, because we all understand what happened. But I would encourage us to be very deliberate about how we're talking about this, because a lot of people don't pay attention, until people don't understand about buying down the rate or what happened in the legislature, and they're gonna see that increase. So I think all I'm saying is we don't wanna shorthand our explanation. We want to
Well,
assume,
so-
I think, that we'll have to explain.
So Lori, how hard would it be for you to do a little comparison sheet like Laura wanted earlier, to just show this would have been the Dover tax rate and this would have been the Wardsboro tax rate last year, but the governor did this and this is what it came out, and Wardsboro did this and Dover did this and this is what it came out, so that the numbers are apples to apples.
You understand what I'm saying? I just think that's an increase. People are gonna go, what? There's an increase? We've got these combined, da, 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 da.
No, it's not an increase.
Don't,
Yeah,
now,
but
Rich,
they
now, Mr. Chair, please
No.
don't take that tone with
No,
me,
no.
because I certainly
You need
understand.
to-
My point is that we need to
No, I
not
think-
shorthand the explanation.
Right. And I think, is that something fairly easy for you, Lori?
Yeah, so it sounds like what you need is more narrative, really.
Yeah.
Yes, the numbers are good, but it really is
Simple.
simple narrative that, this was the tax rate, then, at the last minute,
This is great for us. It's
Right.
the
But
narrative for them.
the tax rate was reduced because, in Wardsboro, we worked really hard to have a flat tax rate, right? And so that's why the number is so odd. We used $81,000 of fund balance to buy down that tax rate. Well, then the governor came in and did what he did, and it went down to $1.37, right? So we didn't even need to do that,
Right.
which is unfortunate, but that's what we did.
But I think we can say the same thing at all these meetings and in the press, is that, have bought down the tax rate in the past, and we tend to do the same thing to ask you folks for the same thing again this year. Is to get permission at the annual meeting to buy down the tax rate, because that doesn't have to be voted on. That can be voted on at the annual meeting, not at the, it doesn't need to be voted on by ballot, because we don't vote tuition, we don't vote income, we just vote expenditures.
Okay.
And as long as we tell everybody ahead of time that's what we want to do, then nobody should be able to come back at us.
You're just gonna have to take a deep breath when we explain, Mr. Chair.
No, it'd be easy.
Do remedial education plans with all your patience.
So we just
Lori,
go back.
sorry.
I just want to circle back around and just, caution everybody that these are really very
Yeah.
preliminary. We don't have equalized pupils, right?
Yeah.
And you don't have CLAs.
Yep.
So
No,
the 6 cents could go up or down.
Well,
So
we're not
I don't
that-
think it's,
But I think what this shows is all things being equal, no reserve income, this budget number that we're looking at really is a pretty similar
It's-
tax rate to last year.
Yeah, flat is attainable,
And,
probably.
and so even though it shows an increase here, again, 7.87%, really it's almost flat.
No, I get it.
In your pocket, it's almost flat.
We're almost, we're only voting on the expenditure right now.
Right, we only vote that $5,346,131. Is that as clear as mud to Peter?
Well, I wrote everything down verbatim,
Cool.
and then I'm gonna go and edit it down to where it doesn't actually say anything definite.
Okay.
So everyone can understand.
So let me, we'll get a thumbs up because maybe we'll get him to talk, but as just an observer sitting there moving your lever back and forth, does that make sense to you?
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, get him to talk again, that's always a plus. So are you guys ready to vote?
And one other thing
Yes.
was, just for the voters of Dover, the reason that the tax rates are different is because the CLA is different.
Right.
that's correct.
To explain to people too.
Well, that's,
Going
I
to
think that's
one
an easy thing to
unified
explain.
tax rate.
Yeah.
Well, I guess I.
Your listers are a little rougher than our
listers are a lot rougher.
See, we don't have listers, we have an assessor now. Yeah, no, we voted for an assessor.
Dover Wardsboro field day now. I'm starting to get like excited thinking about that.
It's just that it might not be clear to
No,
some people, you know what I mean? It's clear to us.
That's why
Like Laura
I
said,
think-
because we live with this stuff, but it's
Right.
not as clear to
But if we
others.
do away with this, I think this is confusing to people.
Yeah.
I think if we can just boil it down to Lori doing us kind of a comparison chart without how we got there, I think that would be better.
A lot of people don't understand how you get
Right.
there.
Hey, Lori,
That's the communication.
That's the communication.
so we're thinking,
Yeah.
like, this sheet is a little confusing because, like, this
It's
is
good
when
for
I
us,
used to
though.
show.
It's good for us.
I used to do my little dog and pony show with the computer and change numbers so people could see. Like you cut our budget in half, it still doesn't mean your tax rate goes down in half. But I think instead of this, maybe just the numbers and not the equalized pupils or the other stuff, but just boil it down to a tax rate. Because per pupil expenditure doesn't mean anything to anybody either. It's what is it gonna cost me?
So I did for West River, I did a tax talk for the board and for the public that basically just walked down through very simply how to get to these tax rate numbers and how it played out in each town. So would you like me to present that with your information for January, and then you can see if maybe that might be the communication that I do at the meeting?
Can you have it ready for the next meeting?
So remember, the third Monday of the month,
You're not there.
Yeah.
we're at West River.
Okay. Can you give it to me and I can try it? The only reason I'm thinking is because then, if we wait till January, then Anita won't be able to get it before the annual before the Bucketville News for February, so people would get it and I'm thinking if we could get it into the February Bucketville News, then, so we have to have that to her by next week, right?
So the problem is that the numbers are so preliminary, so.
But it's not so much the number, I think it's just how you get there.
Okay.
You know what, let's let Rick and I talk
And give
about
them a mock.
that. And
It's pretty easy, like you said, you can put it stuff on
Right.
the screen and show people how we can change things,
yeah,
how much it changes
Lori,
the tax rate.
we'll talk to you about it.
We gotta do it in January. We
I
can't do
have
it
to-
before the 17th.
Right.
No?
We can't.
Okay, that's fine. We'll come up with something else. But back to the main thing.
I still
So
think it's
we'll hold that thought and we'll let you know at the
Okay.
meeting at the 17th. Let's see if we can put something together fairly easy for people to understand.
Okay.
And then that way you won't even have to do any of that.
Can you and I get that?
So I'm gonna go back to, we have a motion on the floor and we have a second. And the motion is to approve the initial, the First River Valley's Unified School District's budget of $5,346,131. Is there any more discussion? Are you ready to vote? Laura?
Yes, are you
Okay.
ready to vote?
Been ready to vote, I don't vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? No abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. You guys have your first budget for River Valleys. Lori, good job. Bill, good job. Matt and Tammy.
Approved.
Okay, so now, after the budget review, food we've covered, 21C we've kind of covered, in technology. Does anybody need, I know Kerry, you were missing. Do you need any explanation on those? They're all included in the budget, but they're just being done a little different. Lori, can you give us the
Sure.
30-second overview?
I can. So, technology is all in the agency fund at the superintendent's level. So, that's coming through as a purchase service, that 5591 code that you saw at the end of the budget in the district-wide, or it's LOCA, it says in the thing. And then the food is also being done out of a separate fund. The revenues and the expenses are in a separate fund. And so what you see in this budget is the local contribution that the taxpayers pay to make the program whole. So the food program, typically in every school does not, the revenues don't equal the expenses. So there needs to be a local contribution. So that is in here. I believe that's 45,000. So.
Okay, I see it. Line item 197. So that's for both schools, the local contribution to
Yes.
make up for the program.
Right, as we know it right now, and right now, the programs are significantly different. So another area, another year to look at, but Wardsboro has what they call vended meals by a food management group right now, and then of course Dover has their in-house.
So what's projected is to keep that the same for next year.
That is what is projected, and of course, those are projections because we don't know what the food service company will charge, so I used,
But we also can then, part of the thing over the next year, Tammy and Matt can get together along with Lori when she's gotten less budgets to fool with, and they can say, hey, maybe it makes sense that, Dover prepares meals instead of this vending company, and then they're prepared in the Dover building, and then they can be shipped over because there's a bus going back and forth because your transportation committee decides there's a noon time budget. There's all sorts of opportunity, and what this is really gonna do too is this is gonna free Lori up once she gets everything in the computer now to be able to look at efficiencies for us. So again, too, Dwight, like you said, it'd be nice to reduce things. Well, Lori may come to recommendations next year and say, hey, here's how we can reduce a bunch of things.
Right.
So are you good, Kerry?
I am, so you weren't looking to make any changes of, finding efficiencies, because you, it
No,
was
because
technology,
we-
food, and
Right, well,
transport.
technology moved, so that's no longer in that went to the SU, so that's in that last grouping on the end. And then in the 21C, we both do it a little different. So we kept that again the same, and then just, let's see where the focus is and what other work has to be done, and then, unfortunately, there's a lot going on, and then hopefully Bill's office through Lori and through the curriculum coordinator and the special ed person, they're working on a whole bunch of things now to hopefully have a lot more efficiencies. And the problem is next year too, Laura, we're gonna have a real issue again because the whole way we fund special ed is gonna change next year, big time. So it's gonna be hard to compare apples to apples next year because we're gonna go to the census funding model.
And
Block
the
grant, yeah.
Secretary of Ed has said it's time to really just flip everything on its head.
Right.
So,
Well, in fact, 46 didn't do that enough. So we all good?
What more could they flip?
So,
Oh.
under reserve budgets,
Retire early and find other gigs.
so under reserve budgets, last meeting,
It's time to go.
we used the, I just brought the Dover, the capital fund that we used to use for the vehicles and for the building. So we did have a study done in the buildings that Dwight's gonna give us some kind of insight into how much money we should move there. So maybe what we can do then, Lori, since we've kind of shortened your term because, we're supposed to have 2 more meetings on budget number, maybe between you and I and Rick can get together for half an hour and kind of look at all the reserves and see what some suggestions are, and then Rick, we can bring that to maybe that first meeting in January. So we have an idea how much there are in reserves for the 2
Okay. Yeah, we
districts, and then,
we don't really know where
and
everything
then
is laid out.
Dwight, it's gonna be important for you to kind of tell us what the initial funding should be for
Right.
the buildings anyways.
Mhm.
And then, once Kerry's group kind of figures the transportation out, we'll see if, if their recommendation is we don't own any buses, then some of that money can go back, or, and then we'll know what we would have to help buy down the tax rate too, so.
Okay.
Is that okay with everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So reserve budget, so that's kind of it on budgets. Does anybody, I gotta tell you guys, you guys all did a really good job, because to get this budget this far along, well, the board too, because, the board could have made it really difficult.
They did all
Good work, right here.
You guys did all that.
I think it was a really good effort.
great job.
So, this is a really good sheet, and boy, I'd love to ask Tammy if she wouldn't mind making copies of this. So this was in the Buckeyeville News, and let's just make a copy of that, because that's dates and activities for budgeting and public meetings. So, I'm gonna kind of jump over that one for a minute. So, under the warning reviews, so for next meeting in Dover, what I wanna do, now that we have a budget number, I'm gonna try to get Andy to come to that meeting first thing, and I wanna get the warnings all done up the way they need to be done. So we're still all in agreement that we're gonna ask the voters to vote to do the budget from the floor at the annual River Valleys meeting, and to make it a voice vote. And we're gonna ask that in Wardsboro, on town meeting day, that the River Valley board member be voted from the floor. And we don't have to ask for a change in Dover, because we'll keep voting ours by ballot. And everybody's good with that?
I think those are great.
And that's kind of what we wanted to do. And then we just, I'm gonna also call Dr. Backus, I don't know if he's around, but see if maybe he can come to that too as moderator, just see if there's anything special he wants, and if we can maybe hammer down those warnings.
Sure.
Next meeting, then January won't be that bad for us. And then, Bill, the biggest thing we're gonna need for the February meeting is gonna be the, what you're finding out about the focus. But if we can, at that next meeting, take care of the warning stuff, so maybe just that first meeting in January, just formality of signing it.
Okay.
Then, why don't we plan on in January, we'll start looking at that focus stuff, and maybe we can be even more prepared for the annual meeting and for the informational meetings.
I can have the focus stuff for you you want it January 7th or January 21st?
Well, let's see, but I'm thinking January 7th, maybe at least a preliminary run through, so people can review it, so that the second meeting in January, we could, really hammer it out.
So you want draft warnings on January 7th?
No, we'll take care of the draft warnings, that's
Okay.
ours. We'll deal with that, and we're gonna deal with that the next meeting, try
You
to
want,
get
you
them
want
all done. I want the
focus on the 7th?
focus stuff.
No problem.
That, we'll just give you that to deal with,
That would be great.
and then you won't have to worry about all the other stuff.
All right. Lori will provide that first sheet, the summary,
Yep.
with the 4 columns, okay? And then you guys will provide edits, so it'll be FY19, FY20, variance, and notes.
Hey,
Great.
we need some up here. And you can put the board. Oh, thank you.
All but here we got one too.
Yeah, here, throw that one at Peter.
That,
Okay, so I think warning reviews is good. So we're gonna go back to, Lori, I think we're all good if you wanna,
well, can we do one thing first?
yeah.
Okay, in these dates in February, can we start there? Can you tell me which of those 5 dates Lori Garland has to be present? She's trying to plan a vacation.
I don't think she has to be present.
That's not really-
She doesn't have
I
to be
want that on
present at
camera.
any of them.
I'm trying to plan a vacation for
She
her.
doesn't need to be present for any of them.
Are you sure? Like, not the budget meetings?
No, because we're all done. We just did the budget.
Okay.
So let's start at the beginning. So December 17th, it was continue work on the unified budget. We're all done. We're just gonna have discussion on how we're gonna present them, but,
Right.
and you can't be there anyway, so get us that information ahead of time. Send it to Rick and I. We'll edit it for you. Then, if we're good, we'll send it out to the whole board ahead of time. Then January, we'll start talking about, we'll sign off on the agendas on January 7th. The next meeting should be January 21st. And that will just be to prepare for, and we'll have to just present stuff to the voters, because that'll be the pre-meeting, or that'll be one of the informational meetings. And then January 28th, you have to have your candidate stuff in. February 4th, we have the informational meeting for the budget.
And Lori doesn't need to be there for that.
No, if we've got all the budget, I think we ought to present the budget. It's the board's budget, it's not Lori's budget.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
January 28th.
Yep.
Is that also your timeline for getting things to the printer?
Well,
Trying to
we're
make
gonna
sure.
talk to Andy about
Okay.
that.
Because we just want to make sure that we're,
Right, because when, you know, by statute, you have to have the 3-year comparison in the town report.
There is no 3-year comparison.
Well, right, there won't be, but there'll be
There'll be a
something.
there'll still be
that
the
has
Act
to be-
130 document.
Right, there needs to be a document that's in
Yeah.
there.
That's why I said, give me that paperwork and I can fill that out.
Yeah, as soon as I have it.
All right.
So, but we're gonna talk to Andy at the next meeting, so we'll be able to let you guys know from that one.
Okay.
And then how, we'll just, Bill, we're just gonna need input on how we're gonna get this out. The town report will go out for the towns, but that'll be too late for the annual meeting, so how do we get the annual meeting stuff out
Yeah, we want to talk about that on the 7th.
of January?
We want to talk about how to get.
That's
the-
gonna be too late.
To get the stuff out?
Yeah, because that won't, if we talk about it on the 7th, it won't happen until the 21st, and the meeting's on the 12th, so we won't have 30 days' notice. So we need to have that for the next meeting. How are we gonna be sending out notification? So it goes in the newspapers,
Oh, you're just talking about the 30, 40 day?
yeah,
Oh, yeah. So,
but I mean, are we gonna send out a report, a River Valley's report like West River does, 30 days ahead of time? Are we gonna mail something to all the registered voters?
yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying, next meeting,
Next
that's
meeting,
why,
all those decisions have to be.
right, so we'll have, since you guys aren't gonna be there,
You'll
we'll have
tell me.
those and we'll report, let you know what we need you to do for us then.
Okay.
And so there'll be a letter from,
Well, I don't know, that's what we have to decide.
okay.
And we have to decide, so I don't see us putting out a booklet. I think we could maybe do some sheets and a budget sheet and the summary sheet that Lori's gonna have us for the next meeting. And maybe just something that gets stapled and gets labeled and gets sent out. I mean,
Right. A letter from the board, summary sheet. This.
Yeah. Do me a favor. Send us what West River sends, or what Leland and Gray sent out in the past. Can you get copies to both schools?
Of the annual report?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I would love to see something, so in addition to something from the board and hopefully from central office, which may be more generic, I don't know. But it would be great to see something from, like, maybe together from the administrators.
Yeah, get 3 copies of West River, of Leland and Gray's to each school, And then just everybody in the next couple days, stop at the school or try to pick up that. Now, you guys may get the Leland and Gray report, but you guys live in Wardsboro, so you're not a member of the district. Just look at that and see what you think is important. So at the next meeting, we want to make sure we have a discussion on the report, what we're gonna do. And then, Bill, we'll just, maybe you and I and Rick need to meet before that meeting, just to kind of review, and you check out what we need to do legally. You know,
17th.
yeah, so that we can report back to the board saying that, hey, you know, we don't have to do the entire budget, we just have to do a summary, and we can say the budget's available here to people, or, and then that way we can make that decision at the 17th. Do we wanna send out the whole budget, do we wanna make it just a simple letter and a summary, and here's where you go to find it out, and here's where the voting dates are, and here's how you're gonna vote, and,
Okay.
okay? So that's gonna be a pretty big work session, but I tell you, if we get that taken care of at that next meeting, then we're pretty much on autopilot till, and that's gonna be really good, cause that's gonna cover something I wanna bring up in new business. Well, no, but I mean, the hard work will be done, yeah, Lori.
Do you want me to, have Anita put up this draft of the budget on the
Yeah.
website?
We should,
Okay,
cause we voted on it.
yeah, okay.
And just don't do the summary sheet yet until we get that kind
No,
of,
I'll just put the raw budget.
Just the
Right.
raw.
okay, with everybody, and then let's get that summary figured out. And then. So then, so February 12th is the annual meeting. You guys decide to do it at Town Hall. We're still good with that, right? Did somebody reserve it for us?
With Jackie.
Okay. And then, you know, she's got the early voting, if you wanna do absentee ballots for the budget. And then our board meeting on the 18th. And we're gonna present the budget then, and March 5th is the vote for town meeting day. And I think this is a really, really good summary. I don't think we need to change anything on it. I think it's good, unless anybody sees any glaring mistakes. Bill, you guys see any mistakes with that summary? I think Anita did a really good job.
Did a great job.
What?
You're just missing the 21st meeting,
Right.
that's all.
Can somebody send me the file, I'll stick it in the minutes.
It was, do you have, if you go on, get the Bucketville News, go online and get it's in the Bucketville News.
I can scan it.
Okay.
Have an extra one.
But I'll ask.
No, he
Oh,
wants
it
to, he wanted electronically. Yeah, go ahead.
I think-
The last two Wardsboro meetings,
Mhm.
Lori and I have been in the audience. So that would be different if we're not there. I don't know.
Well, it's
how it
River
works.
Valleys, it's not Wardsboro.
Right.
Yeah, so long as Wardsboro, we're not.
Well, we didn't really do anything.
Didn't do anything, you're not voting a budget.
No, I think, I think the board should be able to present.
We were
the
kind of eye
budget.
candy. and-
Well,
True.
He was
I'm gonna borrow your tie for that meeting.
The salmon car, what is it?
What's it?
It is
I think that
salmon.
more and more, the business office was asked more in the past because people went line by line on everything.
Ah,
People were-
okay.
You know, people were asking for details about certain things that I.
And we're gonna do a
probably
cheat
answered a
sheet
little
too. And I think that would be important for the board to have a
Yes.
cheat sheet, so if somebody does ask a question on a line item, we have the answers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, Lori, we can work on that too. But that, we don't need that till the meeting dates.
Don't you guys have somebody that, oh, I'm sorry, well, in Whitingham, we've got a guy that stands up at every meeting and goes line by line.
That's
by
why,
line.
Yeah.
that's why we,
had the business office there years ago.
that's why we have the Kathy Kaufman, Charlotte Bond over under sheet. We beat them to the questions. We just say, here's every item that went up or down more than $500 and here's why.
So they can practice.
So you're okay, you think, Rick, without them there?
Well, I think we're fine, yeah. I mean, last few years, we haven't had to use them much at all. It was just when we had the line-by-line person.
You waved.
Yeah.
And that was.
You good, Dwight?
Try to be friendly.
I guess so, yeah.
You good? Okay. No, so then, we'll give you some more time off so you can do our other work for us, Bill.
Even if it's.
So it's not time off.
Yeah, it's on time off. Okay.
It's not time.
And so we'll work on the reviews. That was all I had for old business. Does anybody else have any old business? So why I'm excited, and I said we'll talk more about this under new business, is because I think now that we've kind of got this first budget, and I know we don't have a town meeting behind us, and we may get smacked upside the head, and they may vote the budget down and tell us we're all a bunch of idiots. The cool thing is by March, February, March, April, and May, we should be in a really good position because we should have a budget. We should have a focus for the Wardsboro school. We should be able to start moving forward and doing the stuff that we actually kind of wanted to do when we first started.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things, and we've kind of completed everything on our list. Remember a year and a half ago, we made a calendar. And if you look at it, we stayed pretty true to that calendar. So what I'd like people to do for the next meeting, and we won't have a lot of discussion, but bring to me what you want to see starting after March, February, March, what you want to see for the next year. What we want to do, because one of the things I think we need to do is now we need to start focusing on efficiencies and focusing on where we can do better with the two buildings. We'll be able to start kind of laying out a plan. You know, obviously if the focus group comes back IB, that's a little bit easier for us because we've kind of got that model, we know how that's gonna work. But let's say it comes back again, that, you know, that we're gonna be the turn-up school. Well, we're gonna need to figure a timeline to say, okay, well, Bill, what are you know, for the first 3 months, are we gonna be like doing research? Do we need to send staff away? What does the board need to do? And let's focus on improving things to make things better, so that maybe we can find in the budget some reductions that we can save money for the two. Maybe it's a lunch program, maybe it's a 21C. So think about things you wanna do, because now we're not gonna have the hard stuff to do, like trying to figure out what our structures are gonna be. We actually can start doing the fun stuff, which is working to help the administrators in central office, you know, improve the schools. So, come up for that for me. And
Thanks,
then-
Lori.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody good with that?
Great.
That's exciting.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
what,
really exciting.
that's what I wanted to do 2 years ago, but we just had a few sidetracks. Anybody else got new business? Okay, so our next meeting's December 17th at Dover School at 7, and then January 7th in Wardsboro, and January 21st in Dover. Everybody good with those? Okay, so then, if there's nothing else, we need an executive session for contractual issues.
So moved.
And we won't be making any decisions, so we will be able to just send Peter when we're meeting again. Or, I mean, when we adjourned and who made the motions, and Rich, we'll let you clean up and get out of here.
And I'm gonna lock the door, so
Okay.
if you guys can just make sure,
You turn the lights off.
yeah.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
So, we have a motion by Laura to move an executive session for contractual. Do I have a second?
Second.
Barry seconds it. Is there any discussion?
It's Dwight, the second.
Dwight, I'm sorry. Barry's over here.
Two votes.
Thank you, sorry. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We're done. Executive session.